why does the tea making machine on the TARDIS only serve English breakfast tea?
Because it's an English police box. No.
No, because the chamomile circuit is broken.
Oh God!
I told you these
Seriously,
jokes are
already?
not going to get any better.
Yeah.
There's just after 60 years, you think there'd be a bunch of good jokes. There just aren't.
Mhm.
But how many Sontarans does it take to change a light bulb?
4?
None. Sontarans do not fear the dark.
Oh, that's true. They don't. Yeah.
Anyway,
Let's get going.
Wow, I heard those
Welcome.
trombones going forever.
Yeah. Welcome, fellow Whovians, to another episode of 3 Do Who. I'm your host, Eric. With me, as always, are my two favorite time-traveling companions, James and Mike. How are you guys?
Mike, you can go first because
Oh, okay.
me being English, I'll either answer in great detail or just say, "Yeah, I'm fine."
Okay, well, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, so I'm coming to you live from Seaside, Oregon, so I'm not on my computer. I'm on my mobile recording. Hence the funky wind chimes in the bedroom here.
I have no excuse for the mess behind me other than this is my gym room, my office, my podcasting room, my hiding from the world room, I've got to fit all my possessions in here room.
Does Alex not let you keep anything in the rest of the house?
Oh no, I've got stuff downstairs as well, but we foolishly made an agreement that as we've got rooms each here. This is
okay.
Yeah. If I yawn, but for people who don't know, I suffer very badly from chronic fatigue syndrome, and I am having my ass kicked by it today. So I promise you, any yawning or anything like that, it's just kind of like because I am really.
I just thought it was because we were just so boring.
It's also, you got to remember that these two guys, it's 11 a.m. for them.
Yes.
They're fresh out.
Sounds like a British problem to me.
Yeah. It's a little bit later here for me, so yeah.
Yeah. So I say let's get to some Who news.
Do it.
So what I have for today is that there are 3 original 15th Doctor novels coming soon, very soon. So BBC Books is pleased to announce that the 3 new Doctor Who novels will be published this year, featuring Shurigatwa's 15th Doctor and Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday. They are Caged, Eden Rebellion, and Ruby Red. Each book is an original standalone adventure and will be published simultaneously in hardback and audiobook, plus the audiobook edition of Doctor Who Ruby Red will be narrated by Millie Gibson, who plays companion Ruby Sunday, which we just said. Doctor Who original novels will be released in hardback and audiobook in 2024, beginning with Ruby Red on the 13th of June. And that's all I have. I think James has some other stuff for us.
I mean, it's also quite interesting, the books, because when Doctor Who returned in 2005, 19 years ago, the books were a huge thing, and they kind of filtered out and they kind of dropped off as the 19 years progressed. So it's interesting that we are getting them back again. So yeah, a few bits kind of that have cropped up. We'll start with the Russell T Davies opening his gob again.
Yeah.
Eric. Eric, go for it, just to check it's the same one that I'm.
No, I think I know which one you're talking about. He said a bunch of crap lately. One of them was the sonic screwdriver looks too much like a gun, that's why he changed to the remote control. I have never thought the sonic screwdriver looked like a gun, ever. I mean, the only one that even kind of remotely resembled it because of the curve of the handle was Jodie's. Although hers resembled more.
Yes. Anyway, it vibrated.
A stainless steel turd.
No, it spun round. She described it as a stainless steel sex toy.
Yeah.
It has 3 settings.
3.
Yeah. This has come out of an interview. I think it was with Empire magazine. From what I can gather, it may not be his exact words. So there's a bit of confusion over there.
Yeah, that's what I got too. Was that it was only like kind of a paraphrase of what he had said.
But it's led to two things. Firstly, a huge number of memes of the Doctor wielding actual guns.
Which he has.
Oh yeah, believe me.
Yeah.
It's
Tom with the big laser rifle.
the overcompensation, yes. Anyway,
Yes.
sorry, if you've never seen the Tom Baker nudes, then please don't.
I don't want to.
I
I love Tom, but I don't want to see him naked.
But there's also been an interesting comment that it's a bit strange that kind of this is the first time it's ever been said, and it just happens to coincide with the first time a person of color has been wielding the device.
Yeah, that's a bit problematic. It's a bit problematic.
Basically,
which is not true.
Well, yeah, it is not true technically that it's not the first time a person of color has been the Doctor, but I don't think we saw. I'm just blanking on her name right now.
I'm
the one that
pretty
was
sure we saw her using a sonic screwdriver, but I'd have to go back and watch the show.
Yeah, the Fugitive Doctor, Jay Martin.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing her with a screwdriver.
No, because officially, the first Doctor to use it was the second Doctor, Patrick Troughton.
Right.
Okay.
So Hartnell never used it. So of course, a pre-Hartnell Doctor would probably not have had one, although we know what the show's attitude to continuity is anyway.
It doesn't matter. It's like Whose Line.
Yeah.
All the stuff is made up and the points don't matter.
That's right.
So yeah, so there's been the Sonic screwdriver news. Right, the next bit, the Disney bank account. This ties
the
in
Disney
with the
bank account.
Yes. So they have got on Amazon the season 1 Blu-rays available for pre-order. Do not get me started on the fact we're now calling it season 1 again. I think I worked out it's going to be the 7th Blu-ray set called season 1. Bearing in mind that this season has 8 episodes, and we're not even sure if Church on Ruby Road is going to be on there. It is retailing at £60 for the Steelbook and £50 for the regular Blu-rays, which I think is about $70 or $80 for the regular Blu-rays.
Yes.
This is considerably more than any previous Doctor Who Blu-rays have gone for. There is also the question of if it will even have special features that haven't already been put on the net, because the 60th anniversary specials, there was a whole host of extra features on the Blu-ray, but all bar one of them had been on the BBC's YouTube channel. And it also ties in with your comment about the 3 books coming out. The last hardback original novels that came out as part of the ongoing series of them, rather than a kind of special one, were the 3 ones featuring Jodie, and they retailed at £7.99. For books more or less the same length by the sounds of it, these new ones are retailing at $14.99.
Double.
Yes.
Wow.
Basically, there is a lot of suspicion that Disney have put money in, but they're sure as hell going to get it back.
Well, I think with the
course.
Blu-rays, the thing is that Disney is really pushing hard for people to join Disney Plus, and in their minds, people are going to see it as, oh, well, it's only so much a month. I don't have to put out $70 for these Blu-rays, and I can just stream it. But they don't realize that streaming does not guarantee that it's always going to be there.
Which actually is looking like a problem for the Whoniverse, because Whoniverse was launched in November. And, of course, all the spin-offs like Sarah Jane and Torchwood are on there. The spin-off Class is on there, and apparently Class is possibly leaving the Whoniverse at the end of this month. So it will not be on iPlayer anymore. It is because on iPlayer, which is where the Whoniverse is located, there is a kind of like a little bit down at the bottom of the screen about there kind of thing that says how long it's available for. And whilst all the Doctor Who episodes are still slating over a year, whilst Torchwood has actually been reset a couple of times, Class is now down to being available for just 26 more days.
Wow.
So, yes, do not assume that streaming is going to be there.
Yeah.
And also,
so fans, if you want to watch Class, you've got 26 days, which is more than enough time to watch the whole run of them.
Repeatedly.
Yes. It's not a very long series. I think they only got the one season.
They got 8 episodes, and again, Class is a discussion for another time. And also, it's worth noting that a lot of what goes on the Whoniverse has been edited in some way or another. So, yeah. There was an anniversary coming up. Now, Eric, this is one I'm surprised you didn't put on your... I think because it's your important anniversary.
My important anniversary?
Yeah.
We'll go for it.
Yeah. So technically, it is still a month away as of recording. So it'll be about a week away when this is released. Happy 50th birthday, Eric.
My 50th birthday was a long time ago.
To the very first appearance of Mr. Thomas Baker.
Oh, okay. Well,
okay.
I was like, wait, I'm 51 now. You confused me, and my birthday's in November.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's just been a special Doctor Who magazine released celebrating 50 years of the 4th. Tied in nicely with yesterday's May the 4th Doctor be with you.
May the 4th Doctor be with you. I love it.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and screw you.
Yes.
And
this is the British version of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And whilst we're talking about anniversaries, and which will lead me into a comment and a question when we get to the main bit. So Big Finish, who do the audio Doctor Who dramas, they have intermittently over the years done audio versions of stories that, for one reason or another, never made it to the screen. So to give you an example, when Doctor Who was put on hiatus in the 1980s, they had a whole season already planned out that never got made. Big Finish have released those. And with their supply of unmade stories starting to dwindle, they've actually been releasing kind of original drafts of some of them. But coming up in a couple of months, they are going to release the original version of The Three Doctors, the 10th anniversary special from 1973. It was not made in this format, A, because William Hartnell wasn't available because he was too ill. B, because the budget did not stretch to several £1 million for an episode. And C, from what we know of the script, it's bloody dark and violent. So rather than a nice cheery romp round a glitzy castle run by a guy in a big sparkly cape, Big Finish will be releasing the original version, 3 Doctors voiced by their now regular replacement actors for the 3, featuring the Time Lords in a chess game against Death. And we thought chess and Death came in with the 7th Doctor.
I thought he only played chess with the Toymaker.
So a few interesting bits coming up, and by the time we record next, of course, we will have 8 new episodes.
Yes, I am so looking forward to it. Like Disney has already started like pushing
we're getting a new trailer every other day at the moment.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I'm sure we can kind of edit things together and have the complete series.
I'll get right
just
on
from
that
the trailers.
for you, James.
Just from the trailers,
Yeah.
Nice.
There's the New York Doctor Who train. Have you?
Haven't.
No, they've. I think it's the New York subway. They've plastered a couple of trains with publicity images of Shooty and Millie.
Nice.
On the big screens in Times Square, they have been showing clips from Doctor Who.
Excellent.
Disney, as I said,
Disney's going all out.
They've been throwing money at it left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I could explain some of the cost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it it does not cost an inconsequential amount of money to put stuff on those screens in Times Square.
Oh, I can believe it.
It's like Super Bowl level costs.
Yeah.
So let me posit something out there. Maybe Disney's going to make a play to buy the Doctor Who franchise from the BBC at some point.
I think it's going to be interesting because, of course, they've filmed not just this season, but they filmed the season 2 straight after it. You know, so basically, season 2 is virtually all in the can from what we can gather.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we will be finding out more about that late 2025. I think
wouldn't surprise me in the least. Surprise me in the least.
No, I mean they bought Marvel and managed to, basically pull Spider-Man from Sony, the X-Men from Fox. It's I mean, they are a powerhouse when it comes to acquiring media.
A powerhouse that might have to face the British legal system.
Well, that is true. But as much as Disney does work in the United Kingdom, I have a feeling they have quite a few British legal advisors on their staff.
I do not know if the BBC would actually want to sell it, though.
I can't imagine they would want to.
And more importantly, because of the unique way that the BBC is funded, I don't know if they would be allowed to.
Yeah. It's an interesting question.
But that's definitely, I think, something that will be revisited after the second season has broadcast and we see it.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Hopefully the episodes are good.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I'm looking forward to it. Shooty is, he's gorgeous to look at, and
very nice.
I'm hoping. Yes, I'm hoping that there's a.
And that shot of him leaning against the console in the shirt with the tape just about hiding the bulge. I now have that as an A2 size poster. It was given away with a magazine. They knew their market very well.
Yeah. Eric, I have to say, every time you say his name, it sounds like you're saying shitty.
No, Shooty.
No, shoot.
I know, but it's shoot. I know, but you say it so fast, it sounds like you say shitty Gatwa.
I'll have. He's not. He's definitely
He's not at all. No, not at all. No.
Right, there'll now be a short recording break whilst we all go to our happy place for 5 minutes.
Okay, back.
Yes. Right.
So let's say we get on with our main.
I think we
topic.
better before we kind of say things
before this becomes an X-rated podcast.
Yes, let's please.
So this episode, we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to talk about each of our own 5 favorite aliens from the Whoniverse. They can be either an entire alien species or a character. And we are also going to rank them at the end on a tier list table. And I see James as being very speculative. He's worried.
I know mine are going to be at the bottom.
Hard.
Okay, yeah.
No, I've looked at yours, and I think some of yours are going to rank pretty high to the top. So,
but I've got a couple of questions though, because I've looked at just a feeling we shared our lists in advance, so that we kind of didn't duplicate and stuff. But I've got 2 questions that I'm actually very, very serious about. So first off, what are you counting as an alien?
Well, anyone that's not human.
Because I've got,
or not completely human, because some of mine are not completely human.
I've done my usual. I've dug out some facts about monsters and stuff. And the question of what an alien actually is, because of course, you mentioned the Toymaker earlier. The Toymaker is an elemental force. Does that mean he's an alien, or is elemental force a different category?
I would say it's. We'll throw it into the non-human. So we'll say our favorite non-human
and
species.
That also raises the question. The example of which I shall throw at you is Leela.
She's humanoid.
Now, according to the dialogue, her ancestors apparently came from Earth.
Mm,
So how
yeah,
many
but then he does.
generations down the line do you have to be before you are no longer classified as human?
I'd say if you're born on another planet, you're no longer an Earthling, so that makes you a expat human.
um, and the other question is, say, which was raised by something that you have put into your notes, Eric.
Okay.
I think we need to be a bit kinder to the original series.
True.
Because one of the things that always bugs me, I mean, we're 2024. Okay, so there's three of us. We are communicating via webcams, which are broadcasting in sickeningly high definition. I apologize.
I'm sorry
Yeah,
too,
we are
everybody.
actually we're seeing each other in higher quality pictures than you would have been able to watch Doctor Who in the 1960s.
Hmm.
I mean, the average TV set size was tiny. 625 line, fuzzy black and white that you had to tune in manually and hope that it remained tuned in. So I think sometimes, I say, it definitely ties in with one of my choices as well. I think sometimes we're kind of a bit harsh on the original ones. 'Cause-
Yeah, my harshness on my first one is not due to uh let me put it this way. Who I compare my first one to is from a movie that was filmed long before Doctor Who started. So the special effects in that movie
Hmm.
were very good for the time, and I know the budget wasn't, you know,
But
when
yeah,
you account for it, the
but
BBC could have afforded the budget to do a little better job on one of my first
no,
characters.
no, no.
Well,
They really, really couldn't. The average
oh,
budget,
that's right, yeah,
the
because
average
this is
budget,
season 1 that they were in too,
the
so
average budget for an episode, 25-minute episode of Doctor Who was like £6,000.
okay,
Yeah.
so, maybe it's a little unkind to
And
them, but,
also, what the thing that kind of I think we forget these days is when we watched TV back then, we kind of didn't pick up on these things.
well,
Um,
yeah, because we couldn't see
we
them,
couldn't
like you
see them,
said,
and also,
60 or 65 lines is not a lot of visual
yeah.
information.
So yeah, now they're out on Blu-ray. We can see the zips on the costumes and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
does that matter? Have we lost the ability to imagine?
No, no,
Yeah.
no. I can suspend disbelief just fine,
Mm.
and but I still like taking shots at the special
Yeah.
effects people
Oh yeah.
because
But they have
you know
explosives. Don't take shots at them. Take shots with them.
oh yes,
um,
I'll take shots with anybody
and
if
yeah,
they're buying.
I'm also going to
Mhm.
point out one of your, for the one that we're going to discuss, a fundamental flaw in your reasoning about why it looks bad.
All right, so
Well,
should we
Yeah.
just dive in then?
let's get into it.
Mm.
All right, so
Hmm.
I'm gonna go with my first five, and the first one is apparently controversial. Uh, One of my favorites is the Cybermen, and I did say that the costumes were pretty bad in the older series. They're basically the Borg before the Borg were ever created. Um, and I'm kind of simultaneously creeped out by them and fascinated with them. So the newer iterations from the reboot of the series on are just amazing looking, and I think they look so much like Maria from Metropolis, from Fritz Lang's beautiful, beautiful old movie. Um, that I really kind of wish they could have done a little bit better job on the costumes, but yeah, like I said, £6,000 is not a lot of money to work with when you consider the special effects crew is probably only getting a teeny tiny percentage of that money.
And also, it's established in the original series that those are literally kind of like wetsuits and bodysuits that they're wearing over the top of
Yeah,
cybernetic limbs. So
yeah,
actually, they look like wetsuits because they are wetsuits.
they are
And
wetsuits.
yeah, but in the fictional Whoniverse, it is eventually pointed out that, yeah, they are literally body coverings, and underneath those, they have got the cybernetic limbs and everything.
Yeah.
And the reason I was asking what counts as an alien is because in the reboot series, where did the Cybermen come from?
Oh, it was Earth, wasn't
It
it?
was Earth, yeah.
Yes, but in the original, it was from Mondas, a
Mm,
dual planet,
yeah, twin planet.
sister
So
planet.
yeah,
Yes,
it's interesting that kind of in the new series, technically they're not aliens.
true,
Mm.
true, and yeah, most of the Cybermen end up being from Earth because that's where the
That's where
Cybermen
they
have
get their
started
body parts from. Yeah,
manufacturing them. Yes,
Yeah, that's where
the
their
squishy parts are
base is. Yeah.
Earthling.
yeah,
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but I would also say they are no longer completely
yeah,
human because they're part cybernetic.
yeah.
And there is a theme. I do have another cyborg in here who is one of my favorite
Mm.
all-time characters. Then my second pick is the Silence. The self-proclaimed sentinels of history. The Silence are genetically engineered members of the papal mainframe under the Academy of Question. The Silence are by far one of the most disturbing looking creatures in the universe. And the fact that you can't remember them unless you're looking at them is just, oh, it on a visceral level just makes me kind of
Mm.
like scared. Yeah, I mean, I have Alzheimer's in my family, and just the thought of, you know, not being able to remember something you just saw
Yeah,
once you look away is
yeah.
just kind of it kind
Mm-hmm.
of it kind of it kind of puts that fear into you, and I think that's kind of what they were going for, with that, because it is scary to think you're losing your ability to remember something. So that is why I think the Silence are just some of the scariest
Mm.
creatures in the Whoniverse. But my third pick is also freaking scary, and that is the Vashta. So they are literally, it translates to the shadows that melt the flesh. They are a microscopic swarm creature, which, when present in high enough concentration, are indistinguishable from shadows, and they use this to their advantage in approaching and attacking their prey. They are described as the piranhas of the air, able to strip their victims to the bone in an instant in high enough densities. And the 10th Doctor says that almost every planet in the universe has some, including Earth, and claims that they can be seen as specks of dust in visible bright light. He states that they're the reason that most sentient creatures have an instinctual fear of the dark. And on most planets, however, the Vashta exist relatively low concentrations, feeding primarily on carrion, with attacks on people being comparatively rare. And like, yeah, when I saw the Vashta for the first time, I was very creeped out. They are, yeah. There is nothing more scary than shadows that can eat you like in an instant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why they're
Mm.
one of my favorite picks on here for the scary aliens. And then we come to my my favorite cyborg of the group, which is Banakafalata. He was a cyborg Zochi that the Doctor met aboard the Titanic. Banakafalata had an accident sometime before, and as a result had undergone conversion into a cyborg, for which he felt some shame because cyborgs were discriminated against on Stowe. Though he was small, he was incredibly strong due to his cybernetic implants, and Banakapalata gave his life to save the Titanic survivors from the heavenly host. The Doctor later described Banakapalata as brilliant, and I really enjoyed that character.
And of course, Russell T Davies didn't write him as a big thing about gay marriage at all whatsoever.
No, not at all.
No.
No.
The
It's
the whole
good
thing, yeah.
character, played by a really fantastic
Oh
actor,
yes.
and I really enjoy that character. He's one of my favorites. So sad. If you haven't seen that episode, definitely watch it, but keep a box of tissues handy because it is a little bit sad.
Oh.
And then my final favorite species is the cat kind. They are feline humanoids capable of interbreeding with humans. They're born resembling typical domestic kittens and later develop humanoid features at about 10 months of age. They are just adorable, and the makeup is fantastic. Both appearances of Catkind were really, really, really good episodes.
You've left Twitter now because there's a problem on Twitter at the moment, which I have to mention at this stage. The
Mm.
standard response that the bots are giving at the moment is "pussy in bio," and I'm just thinking the kind of the inbreeding with humans. I think might have gone a little bit wrong. You know,
Oh
Just a
no!
little bit. Yeah.
Oh no!
so yeah,
Oh.
I just thought I'd throw that in. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason I'm not on Twitter
Yeah.
anymore, because I don't want it to ruin my life any more than it already has.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So those are my five. Mike, how about you give us your five?
Well, I started with Missy, and I have to say, I felt that Missy was the best adaptation of the Master, but after watching several of the episodes, you kind of start to wonder, is she truly the Master, or is she somebody else, just pretending to be the Master? And that's what I that's what I took away from the Missy character. I mean, she's very evil, she's very mean, but she's also, in her own way, she's compassionate. And
The description was Mary Poppins on speed.
yeah,
I would
yeah,
say more like
exactly,
Mary Poppins
exactly.
on
Meth.
crack.
uh,
Yeah,
On
meth.
crack.
I am very innocent on all this front. I actually genuinely have not got a clue what any of the drugs do to you. So kind of the only one I know
No.
is that cannabis is banned as an Olympic performance enhancing drug. I'm thinking, what?
Yeah. Anybody who's ever seen
Yeah.
anybody trying to well, around here it's quite common because cannabis is legal in Oregon. It's quite common
Hmm.
to see people driving after they've had some or while they're
Mhm.
having some, and yeah, those are the most careful, slow drivers you could ever want to come
That's it.
upon.
I genuinely don't think I'd even thought that it might not be the Master. Um, World Enough in
I
Time.
think it is,
World
but
Enough in Time throws an interesting
mm,
new pitch at that. Then, if that's the case, that's yeah.
yeah, there
Yeah.
is a
I
little bit of
mean,
a question, but at the same time,
because always the master always says, "I'm the master." And when asked specifically by the doctor if she was the master, she says, "I'm Missy."
mm, true.
So she never really did admit to being the master,
She
and that's
does say
always
though, I couldn't keep going around calling myself the Master though.
right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
yeah, and yeah, this is the first female iteration of the Master that we've seen on screen,
hmm
at least.
hmm and I have to say there is quite a number of really fine portrayals of the master, and a few that
Oh
were
yeah.
just not even worth it. But um, yeah, and then my second one is the adipose. Now, oh my God, these are the cutest little things that you can see waddling around. They look like little tiny mini marshmallow men,
Yes,
and
they do give Stay Puft Minis a vibe, a
yes,
real.
yeah. And I recently watched the new Ghostbusters movie, and all the little Stay Puft Mini Marshmallow Men. My
Mhm.
first thing, I yelled at the screen, "It's adipose!" Um, but but
Well,
they're
eventually, if you eat them,
truly,
it will become adipose.
yes, yes, and they do. But they're so diabolical in design, but they're not inherently evil. They're just trying to survive.
No, yeah, they're just
So
babies.
they're just little babies, little babies.
Yeah.
I always liked the Ood. Now,
Oh, who doesn't though? They are
uh,
really a great character.
they're a great alien. I did a lot of research on the Ood for this episode, and I didn't realize that they were an enslaved. I knew they were
Yes.
enslaved, but I didn't realize that they had taken out part of their brains in order to get
Hmm.
that orb. Um,
Yes.
when I learned that, I was like, "Oh, okay." I always thought the orb was some sort of mind
No,
control device, but
they are
no.
a very sad species, but
Yes,
also a very neat species because of their compassion and their their
and
attitude
basically,
towards
they
the
only do
doctor.
what they're told. Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah.
only do what they're told by their masters. So if their masters are evil, then they're going to be evil.
Yes.
The scariest alien and villain that I think is the Weeping Angels. Uh, they're even more scary than the Daleks. And
Yeah.
I got really confused in the flux about whether or not they were former Time Lords, whether they were current Time Lords, whether they were, all that stuff. And
Mm.
with the Flux, when they portrayed them, they gave them a little more humanity, and you actually felt sorry for them by the end of the Flux. At least I did, because
I
they
would
were
agree with that.
just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but man, just close your eyes and oof, there they are. Ooh, terrible,
Well,
terrible, 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 terrible.
the TARDIS database does say that they are as old as time.
Mm-hmm.
That they are a very, very old species.
And I never
Yeah,
thought I'd say this,
yeah.
but they work amazingly well on audio.
Oh yeah, I can imagine they would be even scarier in an audiobook
They've been
because your imagination just takes
they've
over.
been in a couple of the Big Finish audios, and one of them in particular is superb. It's
Hmm.
I'll have to listen to those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's called Wink.
Wink. Oh,
Wink,
like Blink.
not blink, but wink. Yes, don't blink, but
It's
wink.
the
All right.
cheaper version of Blink.
It's also an
It's the Dollar Tree version.
incredibly
Yeah.
well structured story.
Excellent.
Nice.
I'll
All
have
right.
to check it out.
And my finally, of course, are the Lupari, which are they're cute dogs. They look like dogs, but they say that they're not dogs. They say they're not canines, but they're just so adorable, and they're bonded to humans. But I always find it funny when you hear them talk. It's just like they're bonded to humans, but they can't stand them. The humans.
I've been in relationships like that.
Yeah. Haven't
Not
we
at
all?
the moment before anyone. He's next door.
Yeah. So they've covered cats, they've covered dogs. I don't remember any hamster villains, so it'll be interesting to see if we get any other critter villains in the future. But those are my 5 right there.
Hamsters have turned up in the audios.
Oh, nice.
Seriously,
shouldn't it be hedgehogs? I mean, because they're evil over there, aren't they? Aren't hedgehogs evil over there?
I'm trying to think. We've had woodlice. I'm trying to think.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. Okay. And actually,
we've had crabs.
Well, speak for yourself.
We've had flies.
And actually, the first one that I'm going for shared the story with ants and butterflies.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So yeah, as I say, I've gone very old school with mine. So the first one is one called The Animus, and it's a very strange story. It's from a story called The Web Planet, and it was the first story that they did in black and white where they really tried to create a kind of a full-blown alien world. The only humanoid characters in it were the Doctor and his companions. And yeah, there were 3 aliens in it. There were the butterfly-like Menoptera, the ant-like Zabi, and the rather indescribable one, which was the Animus, who was the big baddie. Now, yeah, going back to my earlier comment, when you finally saw the Animus, it wasn't maybe realized as well as it could have been. But it's very difficult to create truly alien-looking things on a 60s budget. But the reason I went for it is because it's actually, when you start to look at the powers it's got enough powers over gravity to start shifting planets and moons around. It can influence the interior of the TARDIS. It's really, really kind of,
that's definitely an overpowered alien.
Yeah. We never really find out its origins or anything like that. So it is just kind of seen as a big baddie. But actually, again, when you start to look at its motives as well, basically it's trying to survive. And it does, raise the question, as a lot of these baddies do. It's like, we call them aliens, we call them monsters or whatever, but kind of, well...
Yeah, a lot of them they're pitiful in some respects.
Basically, kind of, they're trying to find new homes. They're trying to find,
the Nestine, they're trying to find new sources of food. Their food source was wiped out.
And if we're stupid enough to pump all the plastics into our world, then of course the Nestine are going to turn up.
Right. I mean, we're just like a buffet for them.
Okay, so my next one. If you are knowledgeable of Latin, then
A little.
you will notice that kind of there is a link between these two. So animus and malus are both kind of less than pleasant words in Latin. Malice is literally evil.
Mm-hmm.
This was from the 80s, a two-part story called The Awakening, and it scared me shitless when I saw it when I was young. This bastard emerges from a church wall. This thing
Ooh.
can penetrate the TARDIS and vomit green ooze over the interior of the TARDIS. This thing can summon up ghosts which are powerful enough to literally decapitate people. It is genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
And
A well-deserved name.
the cliffhanger. I say it's a two-part story, so there's only the one cliffhanger, and it's a doozy. It's a really well-structured, well-shot, well-edited. The interesting thing about the Malice as well is that, unusually for Doctor Who, it is said to be kind of related or associated with another of the 80s aliens called the Pteroleptil. So actually, in the Peter Davison era, there was a bit more of an attempt made to actually kind of start to link the universe up a bit more. And yeah, for me, the Malice, which basically sucks the evil out and amplifies it and rebroadcasts it, is genuinely nightmare fuel. Now, I'm going to have to put a disclaimer on my third one, because the one I've gone for is the Zygons.
Okay.
But
they're a fun.
I'm only going
alien
to nominate the original series Zygons, not the travesty that they came up with for the 50th and the Capaldi years.
Yeah.
Because one of the appeal of the Zygons in the 70s, apart from the fact they established the fact that the Loch Ness Monster was an alien, is they looked really organic. They had oozy skin. Their spaceship was organic. And they took the very unusual step that, because Zygons are shapeshifters, they actually said, right, the same person who plays the humanoid version will also play the Zygon version. So it meant that we had, a nice range of different Zygons. We had different voices and everything. Oh yeah, by the way, the Animus, very notable, by the way, just going back to my first one quickly, the only alien I could find and think of that was voiced by a female. It's genuinely a very disturbing voice as well.
From the original series, though.
Because you're not expecting it when it turns up either.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Zygons. In the rebooted version with the horrible fighted teeth, and they've made it look like foam rubber suits, and it's not the same people in the suits as the humanoid version, so it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
But if you have never seen the original, Terror of the Zygons, a name that is very well earned.
Yeah.
There is a sequence featuring one of the Doctor's companions, where, bloody hell, if you want to see someone looking truly evil in a 1 second shot, this is like, whoa, yeah, that is the one for you.
Yeah, no, it was a good story arc.
It was.
So my penultimate one, bizarrely, I've also gone for another Time Lord.
Yeah,
I've gone for the Meddling Monk, who I think is a
great
far
character.
more interesting character than the Master ever could be. The Master,
Yeah, in some ways, he is definitely. Yeah, he's a very complex character compared to the Master.
because the Master basically just evil. He was designed.
Yeah, he just wants to fuck with the Doctor.
Whereas the monk is literally the sort of person who goes back in time, puts money into a bank account, skips forward 20,000 years, and withdraws all the compound interest. He basically uses time travel for fun.
Yes.
Hey, why not?
Fun and profit.
Yeah, and it's also very interesting because he's had seemingly dealings on Earth long before we ever see him, because it's even stated that he was involved in the building of Stonehenge. which raises all kinds of questions about the Pandorica and the Big Bang, but we won't go to those travesty of an episode. Right. But yeah, the monk.
Well, yeah, and when you finally get a look at the inside of his TARDIS and what he's got stored in there, you can tell he's been doing this for a while.
Yeah. And actually, he's cropped up in expanded media quite a lot. He was one of the few returning villains from the TV series that cropped up in the early novels. There have been, well, yeah, I think I can say it without too much of spoilers. There's been 3 versions of them on audio, including one played by one of my all-time comedy heroes, because Peter Butterworth in the 60s was a comedy actor, and in the audios he is played, or one of the versions of the monk is played by a comedian called Graham Garden, who genuinely is an absolute hero of mine. He is just
Butterworth was probably that episode, of Doctor Who. Butterworth was probably one of the funnier bad guys.
Oh yeah.
Of them, and he played it really tongue in cheek and really really fun. I enjoy that episode a lot.
I'd say that because of course he did come back in the second Hartnell episode, most of which is missing sadly. But yeah, I say the monk is a much more interesting character, and they fleshed the character out a lot in the audios, and there's a lot more motivation, and the monk's character arc is played out to perfection.
Yeah, he's a character I would like to see come back again.
Yeah.
Definitely is on the top of my list for adversaries for the Doctor to come back.
There are rumors.
Yeah.
And we go from comic baddies to bloody terrifying ones. My 5th and final entry is The Flood. Water always wins. I was torn between The Flood and the Ice Warriors because, of course, they are very closely linked together. In the end, I went with The Flood because, I actually felt they got the scariness right. Plus, the new series buggers up the Ice Warriors completely. But again, that's another day. So, The Flood, the makeup, the lengths they went to get the water dribbling down the side of the mouth. Just the whole concept of a single drop of water. Yeah, I mean, it is... You can't get away from water.
Yeah.
And water always wins. It was a terrifying episode. It's one of the few new series episodes to genuinely actually scare me.
It definitely was creepy. It was very creepy. Like I remember thinking, oh god, because like you said, you can't get away from water. It's in the air. It's in it's a vital source of nutrition for humans. It's in your blood. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
The Ice Warriors was superb though. So I thought, kind of, for an alien that takes its inspiration from another classic alien, but puts a whole new terrifying slant on it. Yeah, it had to be The Flood.
Yes, excellent choices, everyone. So we're gonna rank them, and I think what we'll do is we will start with the first one of each of ours and place them so that we can kind of like hopscotch between them. So I'm going to say the Cybermen. My vote for them would probably be, I'm going to say A tier, which is the second from the top tier. What do you vote, Mike?
For mine?
For the Cybermen. What's your vote on Cybermen?
For the Cybermen, I'd say they're probably B level.
Okay, so split there.
So third down.
And James,
I'm also going B because they had magnificent promise early on, but was then totally wasted. And for an alien that apparently is based purely in logic, I have yet to see a single Cybermen story which has logic in any of its plans.
They are kind of a little goofy.
The 60s Cybermen stories are amongst the worst science and the worst logic of all Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So, nice idea, bad execution, B.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm two B's and an A. We're ranking them a B. So let's go
Okay.
to Mike's first, which is Missy. Where do we rank
Missy.
Missy? I'm gonna say for Missy, I would rank Missy definitely close. I almost want to say she's S tier, just because she is so brilliantly played.
I've got real problems with Missy. Um,
Okay.
I actually like the idea that she's not the master. I would much rather that she hadn't
She
been
be
the
her
master. I
own
would much
villain. Yeah.
rather she'd been her own villain, because that would have given far more scope. It would have given much more ability to do things. And yet you could actually have kind of, making Missy the master and continuing this kind of like, okay, so Anthony Ainley played it like a pantomime villain, followed by Eric Roberts hamming it up, John Hamm going in bit kind of insane, and then Missy taking it way too far.
Mhm.
Bearing in mind that the master was originally very suave, sophisticated, menacing, um,
But also bearing in mind that being past his regenerations,
yeah,
we do know that it degrades their minds. Well, Gallifreyan's
yeah.
minds, not the Doctor, of
I
course, because now we know the Doctor
hmm.
isn't a Gallifreyan, really.
So again,
Mm-hmm.
I think because I've got more time for the Delgado Master, I'm gonna have to say B again,
Okay.
just because I can't
Got
bring myself to link the two characters.
We have one S, one B. Mike?
I would probably say A
Okay.
level. So just one step above Cybermen.
So I'm going to say that since we have,
Yeah,
3 conflicting votes, we're going to go in the middle
yeah.
and rank Missy as an A tier alien. And so
All
that
right.
brings us to James's first, the Animus.
Yeah. Creepy, mysterious, voiced in a way that is so unlike any other Doctor Who villain. Powers off the scale. It makes you wonder if the Doctor was actually put there to try and deal with it, because you can see
Mm,
that the Animus would have been a threat to the Time Lords.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually going to go S. I don't care that it looks like a big
Okay.
pile of spaghetti. I'm going to go S.
I'm going to agree with James. I would say definitely S.
Yeah, I'd say I'd have to agree too, because I'm recalling that story and it was particularly creepy, and the Animus was particularly a very good character.
Very
The
powerful.
Zabi and the Monopter
Yeah.
were laughable, but the Animus.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, let's see. My second was the Silence, and I want to rate the Silence an A. Um, they are creepy. They are, you know, on a instinctual level. They kind of, you know, they kind of give me the chills. So I'm going to rate them an A tier.
All right. Fair enough. I would tend to agree with that assessment. I don't know if we're
I'm.
going to get any C or D level tiers, but maybe.
um,
Well, it doesn't have to
yeah.
be a D. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way these work.
I'm gonna go with the kind of we're judging the aliens and not the stories, which is how I got away with the Animus. But
Mhm.
alien monster wise, yeah, the Silent, whatever they called, because the books can't agree on what they're called.
Right. It's either the Silence or the Silent, and actually, it's not just the books. If you look at the TARDIS database
I've
and
got
also Whoniverse
I've got
and everywhere.
I've got reference books down there, and yeah,
Yeah,
so I did a podcast ages ago on them. And yeah,
yeah.
pointed out that basically, depending upon which book you look in, depends upon what the buggers
It's
are
the
called.
Silence or the Silent.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
maybe Silence is the collective
Yeah.
noun for them, and Silent is what one of them
So
is.
in terms of the stories,
Singular.
I thought the arc
Yes.
was terrible, but in terms of the design,
Yeah.
the execution, A.
Oh, right. So that brings us to Mike's second adipose. Mike, what do you say?
Based on all the other ones that you two have identified, I'm going to put the adipose down at C because they weren't evil, so to speak, and we weren't necessarily looking at
Mhm.
evil
No, we
aliens.
were
We're just
looking at
looking at
alien, well,
aliens.
just
Yeah.
just
So,
non-human creatures. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
non-Earthlings.
I would
But
say I
I'd
would
put
give
them
them
at
a C as well because
yeah.
C for cute, because they definitely are. Uh, they, they weren't a huge really part of that story as far as being, you know, a big part of the the meat of the story. But they were more
Hmm.
definitely the candy of the story. If we were to call that story a meal,
Yes.
they were definitely the
Sure.
dessert because they were just cute as hell. They definitely gave you some chuckles and a bit of feel good fuzziness.
And I'm
Hmm.
actually gonna give them a B, and I'm gonna say, can I have a couple of those pills, please? Because I really need them at the moment.
Who doesn't? So two
Right.
C's and a
Yeah.
B. We're gonna rank them a
Yeah.
C then.
Sissy. Yeah.
All right, and that gives us James's second the malice.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put it at an A because it's one of the few from the classic series as well that gave me nightmares. I still can't watch
Yeah.
the beheading scene without looking away.
Hmm.
It's the
Yeah, and considering back then the beheading wouldn't have been horribly bloody or gory, it's still a beheading.
it was done off screen, and that
Yes.
makes it
Yeah.
worse because you got to see the reactions
Yeah, your
rather than.
imagination, yeah.
And for me, that's what makes something terrifying. It's not what you see;
It's what you
it's what you
imagine.
Hmm.
imagine, what you picture.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
and say the cliffhanger, the appearance in the control room, everything about it is just kind of.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say the fact that they can influence the TARDIS gives them an S tier from
Mm,
me. Because we all know the TARDISes are, and especially the Doctors, is a very powerful entity.
mm,
Uh, and for the
Hmm.
malice to be able to affect an entity as powerful as the Doctor's TARDIS, I kind of
mm.
give that
Hmm.
an S tier.
And also, just at this point, I think we should also say that it was a physical prop.
Hmm.
When you see the cliffhanger,
Hmm.
you think, oh yeah, these days that'd be so easy to do with CGI and they can make it.
CGI,
It's like,
yeah,
no, they did that for real. They had to build the church wall. They had to build
mm,
this 6 foot tall prop. It's just
right.
like, yeah, we have lost that art.
Hmm.
And
I
Mike,
agree.
all right.
I would
So
I would put him right there at the S. Yep.
yeah, so James, you are like batting 1,000 here. So that leaves us to my third pick, which is the Vashnarada. I would give them an A tier because they scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, they're very, very scary. They're definitely A
Yeah.
tier for me. Yeah.
I'm going to disagree because I have a fundamental problem with them. And it's not
Okay.
really with the concept of them, it's with the way the story can't actually decide what they are.
Yeah, I will say the story let them
Yeah,
down.
because if
Uh,
it is the shadow, if
conceptually,
it's the shadow
it's
on the
good.
floor, then just put a fucking rug over it. But somehow they're dense. But somehow they're dense enough in the air that you can't see them, but they can eat chicken drums. So yeah, for me, they were a nice idea, but very confused. So I'm giving them a D
Yeah.
for confused.
Okay, so 2 A's and a D. I'm gonna say let's rank them down at about a
No,
C.
I gave C, not a D.
Oh, I thought you said C. Okay, so then
C.
we're gonna rank them
Oh
as
no,
a
I
B
said
as a
C for
B. Or
confused. How the hell do you spell confused?
with a D?
No, that's the guy that's in court at the moment. That's Don Fused.
Yeah, yeah,
All
exactly.
right, so we're gonna rank them as a
Slick.
B.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. And so that brings us to Mike's third, the Ood. Mike,
The
take it
Oods, they're
away.
cute. They're cuddly. They're cute. They're cuddly.
Mm,
They're interesting. Um, I'm gonna have to put them down to C again with the adipose. They're not they're not overtly evil. Um,
no,
they're very well done. They're very well costumed and thoughtful, but
yeah.
still along the sea. Still along the sea.
I'm gonna disagree with you and rank them at a B because
Okay.
just because their backstory just tugs at my
Mm.
heartstrings.
Mm,
I feel like uh, really compassionate for them, and the fact that they have so much compassion for the Doctor and everything the Doctor did for them. I'm gonna rank them as a B
mm-hmm.
because I really liked that story arc, and the fact that they're after all the shit that's been done to them, they're still capable of compassion and being
Yeah,
an amazing ally to the Doctor.
and they come back in the background in a lot of episodes too.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, it's a fantastic
Mm.
costume.
I'm going to give them a B because I've got
See?
one other kind of problem with them.
No, he said B.
B, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
B for brain.
okay.
Yeah.
B
Yes.
for
And
brain.
that
Yeah.
and that's my problem. How the hell did something that had to hold its brain like that evolve?
Well, remember, they didn't evolve with their brain uh, out like or no, they
Out.
did
They
evolve with their
did.
brain out like that. Their hindbrain was taken from them, and that's what the orb is.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot. That's
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
mixing things up, but
And I've never been able to buy into that. But I think the because they actually built one of the Ood heads with animatronic eyes and everything.
right.
I think the design and yeah, once you overlook the kind of the brain issue, they're brilliant.
Well, I think we have to have a little suspension of
Mm.
disbelief for them because, again,
Mm,
it's part of the story. And on on a kind of related note, human beings and several of us function with only partial brains.
Would you like a quick piece? I hadn't got this on my list, but would you like a quick piece of trivia about the Ood?
Sure.
We were never
sure.
supposed to get them.
Really?
Impossible Planet and Satan Pit. You know that story where they're all crawling around in those really narrow air ducts and
Yeah.
that was originally supposed to be the Slovene.
Hmm.
Oh.
In,
Well, I'm glad they went with the Ood because the Slitheen are one of my least favorite
can you imagine
characters.
Slovene trying to crawl through those air ducts?
Well, you'd know they were coming from the farts.
Yeah, and in the air ventilation system, definitely not.
Yeah.
So there's a bonus.
What is that smell?
There's a bonus piece of trivia for you. But I'm going to give them B because I say I love the look of them. I
Okay.
love and also what
Oh,
they
yeah.
do to Tim McKinnon, the character in Planet of the Ood who gets
Yes.
changed into an Ood and had his face ripped off. That is also utterly grotesque.
Yes. This is a great character. So yeah, two B's and a C. We're gonna give him a B.
All right.
Brings us to James's third, the Zygons.
I'm good. If it was just the originals, I would give them an S. But because they have been a bit kind of buggered, and me being me, there's been some superb audios with them,
Right.
and also one incredibly disgusting sequence where they are suckling from a Scaracen. Basically, they are breastfeeding on audio.
That is disturbing. Especially when you know what they look like. The original older series characters. Yeah, I don't want to see
give
that.
them an A. I can't quite bring myself to give them an S, but I think kind of along with some other comments I'm going to make after this in the trivia bit, I'm going to give them an A.
I'm of a mind. They're not my favorite. I have a problem with shape shifting characters. It's like to me they're like the sonic screwdriver. They're just like a deus ex machina for stories to make creepiness.
It's interesting that in the original their shape shifting abilities were very limited. In the new series it got deus ex machina'd.
Yes, yes. Well, and it's just like the David's one, Wild Blue Yonder, another set of shapeshifters. Come on, like, can we please get away from the shape-shifting creatures? They just it's such a lazy plot arc to me. So I'm gonna give them a C because I do like them from the original series. You're right, the new ones are not as creepy. Um, but for me, they're a C.
Yes, yeah.
I would be C plus, almost a B. Again, they the way they looked was just disgusting.
Yes.
In the original series, um, and and I just recently watched
Ah,
that arc, so I know exactly what you're talking about. So yeah, so B plus or C
Okay. Well,
plus
so
B, so close to B. Yeah,
we're gonna give the Zygons a solid B.
yeah.
solid B.
Which will
Yes.
shapeshift into an A when we're not looking.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm just kind of half-assed averaging
Yeah.
them. It's hard to average, the way that we're doing this, but kind of
hmm
half-assed averaging
Hmm.
them based on, where we place them.
hmm
So that brings me back to my fourth pick, and Banacapalata. I'm gonna rate him. I really want to rate him an S because just one of my favorite characters. Just a you know a selfless act of saving his fellow shipmates. Um, I'm gonna rate him an S because just a good character.
I'm going to give him a C because it's like being hit around the face with a bloody cactus. Um, it is so unsubtle. It is so blunt what he is talking about. It's like, if there'd been like an
Yeah.
extra layer to it, if it had been buried a little bit, um, and yeah, kind of, it was basically Meglos in red rather than in green.
Yeah, a
So
little
I
bit.
can't because of the look of him and everything as well. It's got to be a C. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
Yeah.
like I said, this is not by no means you're not hurting my feelings.
hmm
These are just my
Yeah.
feelings. Those are your feelings, and now let's get Mike's feelings.
I'm going to recuse myself on this because I do not recall that character whatsoever.
Oh, so
I remember the story. I remember the show. I do not remember that character.
he was the little person.
I I know okay, with the beady little eyes.
Yeah, and the spines,
Yeah,
neon red.
yeah. He was a bit
Oh,
like
okay,
if you
okay,
took Darth Maul and squished
yeah.
him to little person size.
To Oompa Loompa size. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
now I remember him. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to say B on him. So I guess that
Okay, so
moves him up to a solid A.
James, you were at
Oh,
C,
C.
B,
And you said
S.
S.
Yeah,
So
I would give him an A
Yeah.
then. Yeah, that kind of.
yeah.
We'll put him in the A hole.
Plus, he's got a very strange name.
Yes, I love saying it. Like part of like David's run that just cracks me up so much is the names that they gave him to
Mm-hmm.
say. Were just chef's kiss brilliant because like just watching him say them is like part of the
Yeah,
reason I love the 10th Doctor so much.
yeah. I also love the fact that he always looks confused when they tell him their names. Like,
Yes.
what?
Now I've got to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that brings us to Mike's fourth, the Weeping Angels. Mike, go for it.
I'm they're I'm giving them an A because they're just to me they're just the apex predator alien villain to me.
Mm.
Even above the Daleks. I
Yeah, I
mean,
find it interesting that not a
yeah,
single one of us went for the
because
Daleks.
the Daleks are stupid. The
Yeah.
Weeping
No,
Angel.
like the Daleks are not. They're an okay character.
They're
And
canon. They're canon. I mean, the Daleks are there, but they're so there that they're almost laughable when they come on the screen now.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just I think it's oversaturation of Daleks that just kind of did.
Yes. Yes.
They're like,
Hmm.
they're like the mashed potatoes on the plate.
Mm.
Yeah, they're there.
Yes.
They're
They're always
nothing
there. Yeah,
special.
they're always there because.
They haven't
Yep.
really evolved much over the years, aside from the elevate,
Mm-mm.
which
Hmm.
yeah, that solves their stairs problem, and
And allows them to fly through space without a
right,
spaceship. Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
Yeah. They
But we're not talking about the
yeah, no,
Daleks.
okay.
We're talking about.
It's about Banakafalaga and co, yeah. And yeah, the
Yeah.
Angels.
We're still at the Weeping Angels.
yes.
I'm really torn because they're superb in Blink. They're then
Mm,
crap in the first Matt Smith one that he's in the
yes.
I'm really, really torn because they're either done very well or they're done in the 11th.
Half-assed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, even in the books and some of the audio stories, they're not that great. So I'm going to go B. I think they were brilliant in Blink,
Yeah.
but then they led.
I'm gonna give him a B for Blink as well,
Mm.
because in Blink they were fantastic, but yeah, the Matt Smith stories kind of ruined them a little
Yeah.
bit for me.
Yes.
But Blink was a fantastic
Mm.
episode, probably one of the better Tennant
Mm.
episodes, in my opinion.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Solid B.
yes, solid B for them. All right, so that brings us to the meddling monk, James.
I have to give him S because he is the time traveler that we would all be.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, definitely. He is probably the
Yes.
most human Gallifreyan
Yeah. I mean,
of any.
even just in his 2 TV appearances, you can tell
Mhm.
there's that sparkle to him, there's that twinkle. And then in the extended media, what they do with him, it's just brilliant. They humanize him even more at one point. And yeah, he's played by Graham Garden, who can do no wrong.
Mm, yeah.
Hmm.
I've loved Graham Garden since I first ever saw him in the early 80s. I've followed him that long. He's still alive, thank fuck.
Wow.
And so yeah, the monk is just brilliant.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but his heart is in the right place. He's not necessarily trying to wipe out
No,
the
he's
Vikings for bad reasons. He actually thinks he's
no.
doing the right thing,
He does think he's doing the right thing,
Yeah.
and like, he's a complex character. He really is. For all that they played him with a comedic bent, he is a very complex character and not necessarily evil. He just thinks what he's doing is
Yeah.
right, and he's
Hmm.
trying to do the right thing. So, I mean, he's the Doctor I think without the Doctor's, more strict morals.
Yeah.
And like he's
Hmm.
he's a human Time Lord is basically what he
Yeah.
is. He has the kind of morals that humans would necessarily take if they had the ability to travel through time and do what they will. So I'm going to give him also an S. I really do like the character. He is one of the ones I really want to see come back in the new series.
I would go S with the meddling monk as well. And my question though
Yeah.
is did we talk about that? Is he a human?
No, he's a Time Lord.
No, he's not. No, he's a Time
He is
Lord.
definitely a
It's
Time Lord.
established. It's
He is
established that he's
Time
a
Lord.
Time Lord.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Very well established. Speaking of
Okay.
other Time Lords that are kind of rogue Time Lords, I am always kind of disappointed that the Corsair didn't get more, more episodes, more. I don't know if he was in the books because obviously I haven't read all the books like James.
there's another rogue Time Lord who was in the classic series called Drax, who is in a 2-part Big Finish. And
cool.
seriously, that is one of the most insanely brilliant 2-part stories they ever did. I
Nice.
cannot say any more though, because it would give away so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So that's our 4th picks. And
Mm-hmm.
that leaves me to my 5th, Catkind. I am going to give the Catkind a solid C again for cuteness. And it's such a well done makeup job on them. And the characters that are portrayed by them were really well done. I liked them. My favorite is the Catkind in Gridlock, because I just think that the story one was kind of a lot of fun, because anybody who's been struck in traffic really feels that story. But yeah, I'm gonna give Catkind a C, because I like the makeup effects. I like the characters themselves, and yeah,
I'm actually going to give them.
they're furry.
I'm going to give them an A for exactly the same reasons. I think the makeup is amazing. It's just nice to see a creature that has evolved from something other than than an ape.
Yes, they and the fact that they're one of the few alien species that didn't get the evil treatment, or the we're doing this to survive treatment. That they're just
there.
normal.
They're
They're
just
just normal
there.
citizens of
Yeah.
the universe, just making their way through life, and I like that. It's nice to see some normal aliens that are just normal people living their lives, not doing anything evil, or not suffering and trying to survive horrible decimation of their planet. It's a nice.
Aren't they portrayed as medical specialists a lot too?
The sisters, what was their name
Yeah.
again? Sisters of
Plenitude or something? No.
Plentitude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
they are they are doctors in that. They run a
right.
clinic
So
on New York.
yeah, I would give them a solid A.
Okay. Yeah. So 2 A's and a C. That gives them an A. That leaves us to
Pussy sweet.
Mike's pussy in profile.
Pussy in
Uh,
profile.
that goes to Mike's the Lupari. So we're going from cats to dogs.
Cats to dogs. I'll give the Lupari a solid B. They're played with such aplomb to their characters. It's like all of them love their jobs, and they did save humankind from the flux. So there's that. Yeah.
I'm going to go with.
I'd say go ahead, James.
I'm going to go with B. They're nothing special, but they're fun. I think that's the summary for me. Yeah, they're just fun.
And I'm going to go the same. Lupari definitely gets a B for me, because again, beautiful makeup, fun characters. Yeah.
Yep.
So that brings us to James's final pick, the Flood.
I'm going A.
James?
A, definitely A for me. Yeah,
A
I don't even have to.
for me
Don't
as
even have
well.
to justify it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a creepy episode. They are, and it was, unlike the Vashtanrada, their story was a little bit better thought out. Their mechanisms were better thought out, and I thought it was a better story and a better scary alien.
Yeah.
Okay, so to recap, that gives us at S tier the Animus, the Malice, and the Meddling Monk. So James, you got 3 on S tier. Yes. A tier, Missy, the Silence, Banacafalata, Catkind, and the Flood. Then we've got our B tier, the Cybermen, Vashtanarada, the Ood, Zygons, Weeping Angels, and Lupari. And our C tier, we have All Alone is the Adipose. So those are our
Hmm.
rankings. To any fans of the show, if you want to comment in the YouTube comments, or you can also text us now on, if you're an audio listener on Buzzsprout, you can text us on the episode page. There's a new text feature that I just enabled on our website, and so you can text us any comments you want. So yeah, let us know what you guys thought about our rankings, and let's get a conversation started.
Nice.
I have
Nice.
some trivia.
I would like to ask,
Hold on.
I would like to say, one of the things when we talked about aliens, I really wanted to include Captain Jack, but he's human.
Right.
Just because. But I always love Captain Jack.
I think
so.
in the future we can do kind of a favorite humans one. That'll be easy to do.
Oh
Well,
yeah, definitely.
The podcast, not easy to select.
No,
right.
No,
yes.
because there are so many fantastic companions to the Doctor.
Yes.
Yeah. It's I've got like two at the top, and one of them is Captain Jack, and the other would have to be Sarah Jane. Just my favorite of all time.
So do you want some trivia about aliens?
Yeah, let's go for a little bit of alien trivia.
So first off is actually a kind of literally a non-alien trivia. In 60 years or so, there have been literally 2 episodes which have not featured a single alien.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah. And
that is actually pretty impressive.
I'm including the Doctor in that.
So are we counting Blink as one?
Nope.
Because he was technically not there.
He was in the arse bit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
But say in the
that's true.
In the early 60s, there was a historical story called The Massacre. The Doctor is present in episodes 1 and 4. William Hartnell is in 2 and 3, but he's playing a different character. And as his companion is human, that means that episodes 2 and 3 are unique in that there is not a single alien in the story in those episodes. If you factor in the Doctor, things get a lot more complicated. I don't just mean the historicals. So from the classic series, you got weird stories like Fury from the Deep, which is basically about a malevolent seaweed. The origin of it, we never know, so that could technically be an alien-free story.
True.
You've then got crossing between classic and New Who. What do we count the Silurians and the Sea Devils as?
Well, Silurians are they are based on the lizard people that conspiracy theorists the world over believe live in the center of the earth. And
I don't know if that conspiracy theory was around in 1970, but
it's a very old conspiracy theory. I listened to a couple of fun podcasts, and one of them is the Y-Files, and the lizard people goes back quite a ways. I'd have to double check, but it goes back a long ways back.
But say the classic series especially found an awful lot of ways to do alien-free stories. So there were including though one set on alien planets. You had Planet of the Spiders, where it was actually a human colony and mutated spiders. So technically, are spiders alien?
Some are. I mean, if they came from Earth with the humans, which would probably happen.
Yeah, but I would say sentient spiders are probably alien.
Okay.
What was her name? What was her name in the new series? The big spider queen, Rachnos. Yes, that's definitely alien.
Oh, that is. But these were spiders that had been on the spaceship and had simply evolved.
So they're from Earth.
Yeah,
just like the humans. So yeah, technically Earthlings.
Okay. In terms of just to kind of to plug the extended universe, because it's something I believe in a lot. Basically, it is very hard to find an alien from the classic series or the new series that has not appeared in the extended universe. Even the kind of the ones that you think, my God, they were terrible, have appeared. So if you have seen the recently re-released Blu-ray or recently released Blu-ray featuring Invasion of Time, the Vardens, who are very justifiably derided because they're basically men wrapped in tin foil. Even they have turned up. And I was doing a quick check. I struggled to find any that have not somehow turned up in the extended universe. The Zygons were actually the first TV aliens to appear in the 8th Doctor books. In fact, one of the very few TV aliens to appear in the 8th Doctor books. And yeah, once you get to the new...
But they're shapeshifters. How would we know if they were the first? Maybe they were in some other books, but they never revealed themselves.
The two that are controversial from the new series are, strange enough, back to back, Smile and Thin Ice.
Yeah, Smile was creepy.
Smile was creepy, but does it feature any aliens?
Smile was
it features
creepy.
robots, and it features human colonists. And then, of course, Thin Ice, we never know where that monster came from. So actually, Thin Ice could be a pure historical. And yeah, I mean, earlier on I mentioned things like Leela and stuff like that. In terms of reusing aliens, if you've ever seen Claws of Axos, I definitely don't recommend watching Seeds of Doom straight after it, because you might notice that in the intervening few years between the two stories, they simply repainted the axons green and passed them off as crinoids because they couldn't afford a new costume.
All right, fair enough.
Reuse, recycle.
Yeah.
That's right, yes.
There is one actor who has the unique honor of having played both a Cyberman and the Doctor.
I'm trying to think who that could be. Are we talking new series or classic?
We are talking really nasty classic. You won't get it in a million years.
Crap. I'm trying to think who it could be. No. Not Peter Davison, is it?
It was a stand-in for Pertwee, because
was it?
In the late 80s, there was a stage play, Doctor Who and the Ultimate Adventure. And it featured a cavalcade of monsters. I mean, loads of the buggers. It featured an actor called David Banks, who was actually playing a humanoid character. But in the TV series, David Banks had played the cyber leader. One night, Pertwee fell ill. David Banks was Pertwee's understudy. So for one performance and one performance only, the Doctor was played by David Banks, who had also played the cyber leader.
Nice. Okay.
We got 3 infamous aliens. If you have ever seen Creature from the Pit, you will know that there is a sequence where Tom Baker has to communicate with an alien called Erato. If you have not seen Creature from the Pit, get a bottle of vodka and watch the sequence where Tom Baker tries to communicate with Erato, because you will not believe that was shown at 5:25 on a Saturday tea time. To the extent where between that episode and the following one featuring Erato, they redesigned the prop. In the 70s and in the new series, only cameo in the new series, there was a creature called Alpha Centauri. Alpha Centauri appeared on set for the first rehearsals of Curse of Peladon, and they took one look at it and they said, "Oh my god, it looks like a giant penis." Their solution? They put it in a cape. Which prompted the
super penis.
It's a giant penis in a cape. And then in the 1980s, there was, again, whether or not we classify them as aliens is a whole other issue, but there were monsters called the Vervoids. Now, I'm not saying that they looked a little bit rude, but W.H. Smith's, England's leading newsagent type thing, said, "Put these on the cover of Doctor Who magazine again and we won't stock it."
Oh, wow.
They actually they were told, Doctor Who magazine was told, "These aliens are too rude for the cover. We will not stock it if you put them on again."
Wow.
Jeez. And I have 2 final bits that's going to melt your brains. So first of all,
melt away.
There's actually a damn good chance that every single story features aliens, because at least 3 or 4 different godlike aliens have manipulated humanity's genetics, evolution, and everything like that. So yeah, there is a big question over how human are we?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even in genuine history, we don't really know what happened to the Neanderthals, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the Daemons, the Silurians. I've completely forgotten them now. Other ones have
There's a lot.
Fendal,
Fendal, yeah.
have all played a part in the development of humans. So, are we natural humans, or are we actually human alien hybrids?
Very good question.
And the flip side of that is, when was it established that the Doctor was an alien?
Ooh,
Because the original intention
right.
was that he was simply a human.
Right.
It wasn't until
Mm-hmm.
much further down the line that it was kind of even remotely suggested that he was an alien.
Yeah, because the first Doctor never said anything about it.
So yeah,
Never said anything about Susan being anything other than a normal human girl.
So there's actually the real possibility that the human in the TARDIS was the Doctor, and the aliens were Ian and Barbara.
There's that. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's my determined attempt to mess with people's brains for this month.
Huh.
Well, I can tell you
what if the
without
Doctor,
a doubt that.
Hey,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, how about this posit? The Doctor is human, but the TARDIS is the alien.
Oh, the TARDIS is a whole other issue, and that is definitely one for another podcast.
Oh yeah, I have thoughts about doing one strictly on the TARDIS through the years and the TARDIS's development into basically, a character that's very overlooked a lot of times by people, because it is really a character.
Definitely.
So,
yes.
So that's going to bring us to I have an announcement for June. Where 3 Who will be on hiatus for the month of June, as I am having eye surgery to replace the lenses in both eyes, and I'm going to need a little bit of time for my eyes to heal. So video editing is probably not going to be on the top of my list of things to do for that month. So we will be back in July, and the July episode will be discussing the 4th and 5th Doctor companion, Adric, played by Matthew Waterhouse.
Okay.
Study up if you don't know Adric, because I know James knows Adric, and I love Adric. One of my favorite companions also.
Oh God, that infamous scene. Right. Okay, we should save that one for the next.
Yes, we'll save that one for the next one. But yeah, Matthew Waterhouse is a pretty neat guy. Also a gay man. So a lot of gay people in Doctor Who, turns out. Yeah, who would have thought? Anyways, thanks for joining us on another journey through the Whoniverse. Remember, you can support the show by liking and subscribing on YouTube, or subscribing on Buzzsprout for as little $3 a month. You can send us an email at 3who@gmail.com, or a text from 3who.buzzsprout.com. The link is at the top of every episode's show notes. Follow us on Blue Sky, 3who.bluesky.social. Remember, I do what I do because it's right, because it's decent, and above all, it's kind. James, any final thoughts?
As we have said many times tonight, there's a lot of evidence that alien and human interaction is possible. So if an alien scares you, it's perfectly safe for it to put the willies up you.
Oh God. Oh God.
Okay.
There are some that I would like to.
Yeah.
So Mike, take us out.
Well, okay, thanks, Eric. Thanks, James. Always a great time talking about the Renegade Time Lord and all their foes and enemies. This is, of course, a labor of love for the three of us, and it's an honor and a privilege to be a part of this wonderful show with you two. So until next time, see you all in July. Anybody want a jelly baby?
Bye, everyone.